Hey guys, welcome to Ryan's Running Reviews. Today we have an update to one of Hoka's most popular running shoes. It's the Hoka Mach Supersonic. Let's run with it. Before we get started, I do want to say these shoes were provided to me by Roadrunner Sports. However, they didn't have a chance to preview this video and the file synopsis is my own. I'd also like to say please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing. Here we go. Now this is the Hoka Mach Supersonic, which is basically kind of following in the footsteps of the Hoka Mach 4, which was like an incredibly popular shoe. A lot of people seem to really enjoy that model. Now, the Hoka Mach Supersonic isn't necessarily the Hoka Mach 5, even though it kind of implies it is because it comes after the Hoka Mach 4, so it's kind of confusing. So the Hoka Mach 5 actually comes out, and I think in like June later this year in 2022. So we can basically kind of consider this to be like the Mach 4.5, kind of something to kind of straddle the line. According to Hoka, they are kind of testing some materials out here and kind of using some different implementations that they are going to use within the Hoka Mach 5. So I say all of that to say this is basically the Mach 4.5, and it does share the Mach name, but does have some slightly different setups and materials I will touch on within this review. Now, the Supersonic is classified as an explosive daily trainer according to Hoka, and essentially what that means is it's supposed to be even a faster version of the Mach 4. So while it looks the same, they did include components to try to kind of orient it towards even a faster workout pace and tempo. The Supersonic does weigh more than its predecessor. It comes in at 8.4 ounces, which I believe is about 0.2 ounces heavier than the Mach 4, which came in at 8.2. So we do go up about 0.2 ounces in weight. I really don't think that moves the needle either way. The stack height is completely the same. We get 29 millimeters in the heel, 24 in the forefoot for that classic Hoka 5 millimeter drop. And with regard to price, the Supersonic will be coming in at $150. Moving on to the midsole, the tooling and the geometry of the midsole itself is the same as the previous version. It's still that dual density foam setup with a softer foam on top and that harder rubberized EVA foam on the bottom. However, the top layer of that softer foam is now ProFly Plus. You can see it here. It's basically the dark navy blue foam. And on the previous version, it was just ProFly, so now they're now calling it ProFly Plus. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, ProFly Plus is now a supercritical foam, which is basically a foam that's been manufactured in a slightly different way, where basically they put it in a pressure cooker, inject gases, expands, has all this little kind of like small bubble structure, which makes it a lot lighter and a lot softer, and according to Hoka, a lot more durable. And like I said before, that bottom layer of white foam is still that rubberized EVA, so basically rubber and EVA blended together in a special proprietary mix that makes it very firm, dense, and durable. So why does that bottom layer of white foam have to be so durable? Well, if you flip the shoe over, just like the Mach 4, it's a rubberless outsole. So essentially that bottom layer of foam is interacting directly with the pavement. And personally, I didn't see any issues with durability. It's very similar to the Mach 4, which you can basically get a ton of miles out of, and there weren't too many complaints. So I think the fact that there isn't rubber on the outsole isn't a huge negative, and the outsole will last you quite a long time. Now, with regard to grip, personally, I thought it performed well. It wasn't great. I do wish it had a little bit of rubber. I noticed when I was running over like brick surfaces or concrete sometimes, I'll get a little bit, it just feels like a little bit of movement, or just didn't feel as secure as I liked. And now, that's not to say it's a bad grip. I just wish it had maybe a tiny bit of rubber, and I realize that increases the weight and kind of changes the overall dynamic of the shoe. But I'll say I'll give it a rating of good, not great when it comes to traction. And with regard to the overall ride and experience of the shoe and midsole itself, it's actually quite interesting because it's a firmer ride and definitely a stiffer shoe, which is kind of almost counterintuitive because you would expect that ProFly Plus nitrogen-infused supercritical foam to be squishier, bouncier, and lighter. And you do feel it when you're walking, and you kind of notice that top layer of squishy foam. However, when you're running, it feels like you bottom out right through it, so you kind of basically just find yourself at that bottom layer of hard, dense, rubberized EVA foam. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, and I really do enjoy the ride of the shoe, especially if you're someone who likes a firmer, snappier ride with your daily trainer. Now, this isn't like a race shoe or like a very quick shoe, but it's definitely a fast daily trainer. And on top of that, because the shoe is rather kind of rigid, again, up until the toe box area, it's also quite stable. So it feels like you have a really nice kind of stable platform to pick up the pace on. If you're walking in this shoe, it definitely is a little bit more noticeable with regard to like the squish and softness. You feel it more so in the heel rather than the forefoot, just because you have this kind of cutout area which allows your heel to sink down into the midsole and kind of bounce back out. But again, when I was picking up the pace, I just really felt like it was definitely on the firmer side of things and probably won't be as soft or plush if you were a fan of the Mach 4. And for better or worse, we still get that split point tail or swallowtail at the back of the shoe. This is supposed to kind of provide a more stable landing, give you a nice smooth transition while you run. Personally, I don't have any hot takes on this. It worked well and just kind of played into the overall experience of the midsole. Moving on to the upper, this has also been pretty much completely updated. We get a jacquard mesh, which is very breathable and I think keeps your foot well contained with that plastic toe guard in the toe box area. Plus, like, we get this tiger stripe pattern, which is a little bit different compared to like the traditional, more engineered mesh we saw on the Mach 4. And with regard to the upper, I was really happy with it. Kept my foot well contained, very breathable, very comfortable, and there were no sizing inconsistencies. I was able to go true to size without having to worry about it being too long, too short, too wide, or anything like that. Now, I think Hoka's typically, run more on the narrow side, which actually works well for me, but overall, true to size, no major kind of sizing discrepancies to note. The tongue on the shoe has also been updated. It's now a thicker, more plush tongue. I thought it was incredibly comfortable. Did a nice job of kind of keeping the lace pressure off the top of my foot. It is gusseted, and by gusseted, it's like partially gusseted, where essentially it only has like a small strip of mesh on both sides of the tongue, which keep it in place. It's just not fully gusseted all the way up and down the tongue. So just a small piece of material on both sides to keep everything in place. Personally, I'm a fan of this setup. Kind of keeps things minimal, lighter, and more breathable without having to worry about your tongue moving all over the place on the shoe. Lacing, no major complaints here. They did move, the slot where the lacing system interacts with the tongue, I believe one slot down, which gives them another branding opportunity for it to say Mach. So I didn't really notice any performance-oriented changes with that, so just kind of a minor detail. But overall, lacing system I thought performed really well, and just the overall experience of the upper is just incredibly comfortable and secure. And moving to the back of the shoe, the ankle and Achilles area has about a medium amount of padding, very comfortable, again, no issues. And the heel counter itself, or the internal heel counter, is extremely, rigid and stiff, so it keeps everything well contained. And of course, we have to talk about this absolute unit of a pull tab or heel thing, which is actually quite nice for more holding the shoes or just kind of attaching them to a backpack or just carrying them rather than actually being a pull tab. So I didn't use this as a pull tab. I used it to carry the shoes. I rather just use kind of the mini elf ear pull tab at the back to get my foot in and out. So it's not the most practical pull tab per se. It's more so just kind of like a carrying thing for your shoe. So does it add more to the weight? Yes. Is it impractical? Sure, but I think it's kind of cool and actually does make holding the shoe easier. So does it move the needle anyway for better or worse? I would say no, but it does look kind of cool, helpful for holding the shoes, but doesn't actually serve as a practical pull tab. So those are the basic facts about the Supersonic. Let's talk about what I liked and what I didn't like so much. The first positive for me was the changes they made to the upper. It feels like it all went in the right direction. Very comfortable, very breathable, provides a nice consistent feel throughout the entire upper itself. And I thought the lacing system with that upgraded thicker tongue just did a good job of keeping my foot well contained and making sure I was kind of connected to the shoe itself. The next positive for me was that it was a snappy, stable ride. So if you're someone who wants a nice platform to land on while picking up the pace, I think this is a good option. Again, the shoe is very stiff up until the toe box area where you do get a little bit more flex. And this allows you to kind of take advantage of that early stage meta rocker technology, which is kind of classic to Hoka's, but you definitely notice it here. So while pushing the paces, it felt very stable and felt very nice on foot. And the last positive for me was the overall weight. It's not the lightest shoe ever, but at 8.4 ounces, it's definitely towards the lighter end of things, which I really appreciated on some of those faster workouts or faster runs. However, the shoe isn't perfect, and there are a couple things that you probably should keep in mind. The first negative is this isn't as versatile as the Mach 4. Personally, I wouldn't use this for like a slow or easy day run just because that midsole is so firm and it just feels more aggressive. So I would just keep that in mind. I think the Mach was a little bit more well suited for a wide variety of runs. Another thing to note is that this is a loud shoe. It's a Supersonic, for goodness sake. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, basically when you hit the ground, it has a nice kind of slap to it, so you'll hear this thing hitting the ground. So if you're someone who likes a nice, quiet, relaxing run, you might want to go with a different option because you definitely hear this thing from a mile away. Personally, I run with like really nice headphones, or not nice, they're okay headphones, so I really didn't notice it or care too much while running in this shoe. And the last negative for me was that I wish that the ProFly Plus foam was a little bit more noticeable. Didn't really bring anything exciting or different to the table. I didn't notice it a whole lot. If you didn't tell me it was there, I don't know if I'd be like, oh wow, it's a new exciting supercritical foam. So maybe if they change the composition going into the Mach 5, I think that might be a little bit more exciting. Again, it doesn't have to be anything noticeable or kind of fun. I just kind of wish it was. I think the shoe performs very well. It just, I didn't notice the ProFly Plus foam a whole lot other than when I was walking and not putting so much force through the midsole. So where does that leave us? Well, I actually really enjoyed my time with the Mach Supersonic. There's no fatal flaws that keep me from recommending it, and I think it's a very good shoe. However, it's not for everyone. If you're someone who wants a faster, more up-tempo Mach with a firmer, stiffer, more stable ride, I think the Supersonic will be right up your alley. However, if you're someone who wants a softer, more versatile shoe that can kind of work at any pace, I think the Mach 4 will probably be for you. I'm excited to see what they bring with the Mach 5, but essentially the Mach Supersonic, or the Mach 4.5, which I guess I'll call it for this review, is basically a faster Mach 4 with, again, a snappier ride. So again, not a bad shoe at all. I'm really happy with the overall comfort. I think they made some great changes to the upper in a more positive direction from the Mach 4. So I would just keep it in mind. It's going to be a firmer, snappier shoe that's probably maybe even a little bit more stable than the Mach 4 just because it has such a firm ride. Essentially, the Mach Supersonic is going to be a faster, snappier, firmer Mach 4. Good for those faster tempo daily training workouts. I wouldn't necessarily consider this like a race day shoe, definitely more of a faster daily training shoe. So if you're someone who wants a snappy, stable, firm Mach, I would probably go with the Supersonic. And if you're someone who wants, I guess, a softer, more versatile daily trainer, I'd probably go with the Mach 4. So essentially, the Mach 4.5 is a faster Mach 4. But I'm really happy with the changes they made to the upper. I think the tongue was a nice improvement. It's definitely thicker and more plush, and it just had a really comfortable feel overall. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Mach Supersonic and what you think Hoka should do with the Mach 5. Well, I'm Ryan from Ryan's Running Reviews. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.